All right, you guys, here we go. So our job today is to try to figure out how to export um, from SketchUp or Fusion 360 in order to laser cut. So we've got to export our 2D drawings. So let's start with SketchUp. If you're looking to do Fusion 360, jump to the second half of this video and watch the Fusion 360 part because I'm going to do both in this video. All right, so what you're looking at right now is my SketchUp screen. I have Grogu, the baby Yoda, here, and I want to export the pieces to a laser cutter. What I want to do first is to nest them. Nest them means to put them as close together to utilize the material as best as possible. I don't want to waste cardboard in the laser cutter or whatever other material I'm using. So I'm going to start by creating a rectangle that represents the size of the cardboard that I'm putting into the laser cutter. So I'm going to start down here. I'm going to click, type in, and I'm not actually going to do this because mine is the wrong size right now, but you are going to type in 1140 by 840 millimeters, 1140, comma 840 millimeters. That is the size of the cardboard that you're putting inside of the laser cutter, and all your pieces need to nest in that. All right. So now that I've typed that in, I can go ahead and drop it. We're getting a little bit of difficulty seeing here, but that's fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to take these pieces and put them over onto the cardboard. So I'm going to zoom in on a piece here. What I would like to do is when I click on it, you'll notice that each of these are different pieces, and I want to highlight the whole thing. One way to do it is to do your window highlight, click and drag around it. Now everything's selected. The problem with having things like this is if I move this, so I'm going to say M for move, or use the move tool in my menu bar or my toolbar. If I drop it, say over here, and then I try to pick it up again, oh man. SketchUp uses kind of like a sticky creation feature where any geometry will stick to each other if it's not grouped. So before I do this, I'm going to say escape and undo. Before I move this, what I would like to do is group it. So you need to right click on your mouse, and there's a variety of ways to do this on the computer. On Mac's touchpad, if you don't have the right click set up, you can double click, like not double tap, but like a 2-finger click. Sometimes that works. Sometimes hitting command click or other things on a PC might help you, but that's why a 3-button mouse is really useful, or any mouse, because you can right click. So right click brings up this dialog box or this menu. I'm going to go down here and say make a group. When I make a group, you'll see that it creates this bounding box, or this box that goes around the whole outside edge here. That allows me to, if I click off, if I come back and click on it, the whole thing is selected with a single click, which is great. If I come over to this one over here and I click on it, only the thing that I'm clicking on ends up getting selected, like each line individually or each surface individually. So this one is great now because it is a group. So if I move it, M for move, click, oops, I selected the wrong thing. I gotta hit my space bar to use the select tool, select this one, M for move, click on it and bring it over. If I do the same thing I did before and drop it here, and then I pick it up again, it's not attached. It doesn't stick to the other geometry, which is great, especially because I'm going to bring it over here and put it onto my cardboard. So I'm going to grab it, bring it over, try to nest it nice and close to the corner. This is great. And then I'm going to continue to do this with all my pieces. So let's take a look at these pieces, for example. This one's kind of tough because it's in here, so if I try to select the whole thing, it actually selects some of this other piece. I could zoom in here and then try to deselect all this stuff. So watch, if I hold the Shift key on the Mac, I have a little plus and minus sign. That allows me to add or take away selections, right? I can add more lines if I want, or I can delete these lines. I can highlight and delete. Oh, the problem is with this one, it was plus and minus. If it wasn't selected, it will select it. So I'm going to actually hit Command. No, let's try Option. Oh, there's a plus sign. So that adds anything that I want. So everything I click just adds. It never deletes anything. And if I hit Shift and Option, it'll become a minus sign. Now anything that I select just gets deleted out of the selection. So I could do this. This takes forever. Oh, I missed a couple over here. That's annoying. So the easier way to do this is to use my click select. So what I'm going to do is click on the surface, and you'll see that 1 click gives me just the surface. 2 clicks gives me the surface and the bounding edges. And 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, gives me everything attached to it. So if this is a 3D object, let me show you over here. One click would give the surface, two clicks give the surface and the bounding edges, 3 clicks gives you the whole 3D object. So I'm going to go back over here again. 1, 2, 3. Now I can make this a group, making it easy because it's not selecting this other piece. Now I can hit M for move, and I can move it over here. Nice. Zoom in nicely, get it nice and close, drop it right there. Fantastic. All right, so now I'm going to go grab another piece. Let's grab this one right here. Follow the process again, triple click, right click, make a group, M for move. This is going super fast now. Come back over here. You can also use a pan tool, like if you want to move around. So the triple button mouse, if you click the wheel, it allows you to orbit. You can zoom in and out. And then if you press shift and click the scroll wheel, it allows you to pan. So I can pan up and down and put myself in a good position here. So I'm going to put it in like this. And maybe I want, it's kind of disappearing, so I'm going to back up a little bit so I can see it. Maybe I actually want to orbit this a little bit to make this little, it's actually his hand. It looks like an ear here, but it's his arm coming down. And I want to orbit this up and in. Well, when it's a group, we actually get these little handles, these red little plus signs that act as an orbiting tool, which is really great. So I can just grab those and orbit and move that into that spot, and then grab the middle, just move it around. So I can keep doing this until I feel good about kind of how it's oriented, which is useful. I could also, if I forget those little handles there, I could also use the rotate tool, right? The first place you click is the rotation point. Second place you click is the handle, and you'll see that that just allows me to rotate it around a certain point if I want to. Okay, so you can use that too. All right, the last parts about this. Let's take a look at this 3D Grogu. So I've extruded this Grogu. Some of you guys did that with your pieces just to kind of see what the cardboard would look like. And now you want to get just the drawing part of it. Well, it's pretty easy to do. We just do a double click. Remember, if you triple click, it'll select everything, which I don't want. I don't want that. So I just want to double click just to get this outside surface. And then if I use the move tool here, it's going to stretch this whole thing, right? We talked about how the geometry is sticky. It sticks to everything it's touching. So I don't want to do that and press escape. I want to actually move a copy of this. So I could just say, hit my option key. Remember that if you hit the option key, it creates a little plus sign. This moves a copy instead. It allows me to move the copy. So say I move the copy instead of down over here. Well, the problem is, like we did before, anything it touches, it sticks to. So solve that problem. Undo it as I make this a group first. Double click to get the bounding edges. Right click, make a group. Now I can move this really easily. I can either move the actual thing, which now you can see inside Grogu, or tap my option key to get the plus sign, and now I get a copy of it. And I can bring my Grogu over here, try to nest him nicely in there. Sweet. All right, so let's try another one. Let's imagine I have created this in a vertical direction. Right, so now my Grogu face is actually standing up because when I built him, I made him in vertical directions. So I want to be able to lay that part down. So what I want to do, again, always make this a group. It just makes your life easier. So select the whole thing by a double click, right click, make it a group. We'll talk about components at another time. We'll make it a group. This allows me to move it around, which is great. So I'm going to use the rotate tool, which is a Q on the keyboard, which is really weird. And I'm going to try to rotate this. Now, when I'm down here, it's in the blue axis, or I'm sorry, the blue plane, which is perpendicular to the blue axis. And then when I hover up here, it's on the green plane, which is kind of frustrating because I don't want to lie him down this direction. If I do this, he lies that way. So I don't really want to do that. And if I do the blue direction, it just kind of turns him, it pivots him. So what I need it to be is in the red direction. So what I can do is actually use my keyboard arrow keys. If I press left, I get green. If I press right, I get red. If I press up, I get blue. And don't worry about pink at this point in time. But I'm going to press to the right and get the red. And I'm going to pick a point to pivot from. In a perfect world, I would pick the bottom point along here so that he stays along the bottom. He stays on the ground, but that's okay. I don't need to worry about that now. And I'll show you why. I'm going to actually pick a pivot point up high and a handle up there. That just allows me to pivot him down. Instead of trying to find 90 degrees, which actually you can find pretty easily, it kind of snaps to it, is that when I start to move him, I'm actually just going to let go of my mouse and type in 90 and press enter, or press return. That allows it to go a perfect 90 degrees, okay? So then what I need to do here is move him. The problem is, and maybe you're recognizing this, is that he's way up in the, oh, he's not way up in the air. Oh, he is way up in the air. Look how high up in the air he is. Oh, no, wait, he's down on the ground. Here, let me do this. I'm gonna change this a little bit because I want it to be up in the air so you guys say, that is not how it works. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna do it one more time. Q for rotate, or you guys can grab it off of your menu there. I'm going to press the right arrow to get, you can keep pressing the arrows until you get the right direction. I'm gonna pick up here and rotate him 90 degrees, enter. So now what you see is that he's way up in the air, which is not the same plane as the cardboard. Well, the nice thing about this is when you use the move tool, M for move, and you grab him and you bring him over here, it will drop him down nicely onto, and I might have to change your direction. You notice when I was here, it had a hard time kind of like finding it. It'll drop him right down onto the plane, and you'll know that it's on that surface because it'll say that little pop-up phrase says on face. Then you know that it's back down there. So it moved it down for me, which is really nice. Awesome. So that should be it for nesting. You're going to put all your pieces in here kind of as tight as possible. And then what we want to do is make sure we export it correctly. So to export this correctly, we go up to our, and we'll see if you guys can get this menu. Hopefully it'll show up on the recording. You'll go to your file menu at the top. You'll go down to the export, and we want to export it as a 3D model. We talked about this a little bit before. A 2D graphic will give us this actual view. And so my Grogu will be a little bit small or short because I'm looking at him at a side angle, right? So it gives you that actual view. Even if you were trying to look at it from the top down, it gives a kind of a perspective view, which means that the dimensions are kind of skewed in the real world. So I want to do a 3D model and export it as a 3D model. Now, if you'd like, and this makes life a lot easier, before you do this, it makes it easier for me, so I guess you don't have to do it, but it would be nice, is go ahead and grab everything else that you don't want to export. And I'm going to actually take a look at this at a better angle. I'm going to select everything that I don't want to export and just delete it for a second. And then when I'm done exporting it, I can just do Control Z and bring it all back, or Command Z on a Mac and bring it all back. All right. So what I'm going to do again, up in the File menu, Export 3D Model. You want to make sure you're exporting as a DXF file. Okay, so under this file menu, you can pick a bunch of different things. It's the AutoCAD DXF file, not the DWG, the DXF. It makes my life easier to be able to do it so I don't have to convert it for you later. Okay, so DXF file. My recommendation always is to not only put what it is, what the object is, but also put your name so that I know whose file is which, because I take all these files off of Canvas or wherever I get them and I put them all in one big folder, and I want to be able to pick certain ones out if you need me to cut it, or if I need to figure out who turned it in or things like that. It helps me to know by your name. All right, sweet. So that's it for SketchUp. Let's do the same work right now for Fusion. All right, jumping over to Fusion, we have my Grogu. And you'll see that I did mine in place, so all the different pieces are drawn, and you can see all of them here. It's kind of confusing and difficult to look at, so what I want to do is hide everything except for the one thing that I might be working with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my sketch menu here, go down, and just start hiding everything. Now, I named all my pieces, which makes my life a lot easier because I can go find them really easily. It's a good idea to get in the habit of that. For example, I didn't name this last one. I must have been rushing at the end, and I have no idea what's on that sketch. Sure, I can look at it, Oh, interesting. I see what that is. But if I had a ton of sketches here and I didn't name any of them, I would have a hard time finding things. I'm also going to hide the canvas. I don't need that in the way. And then I'm going to start the same way I did with SketchUp, is I'm going to draw a piece of cardboard for me to nest all the pieces in. So I'm going to do create a sketch, just like you would in any other sketch. Pick a plane. It doesn't matter which plane in this case. I'm going to go ahead and pick the bottom plane or the top plane, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my rectangle. So 2-point rectangle, doesn't matter where you start it, get it started. I'm going to type in 840 tab 1140, so that's 840 millimeters by 1140 millimeters. And there's my piece of cardboard that I'm going to end up cutting in, and this is where I want to nest everything. So I'm going to say finish sketch, and then I'm going to go pick a layer that I want to bring in. Let's try forehead. Sweet, there's the forehead. So this is his forehead I want to bring in. I'm not going to enter this sketch. If I enter a sketch and I try to copy something, I can't use the really basic Command-C, Command-V like you would in English paper and you're trying to copy a paragraph and move it down below or something like that. You use those copy and paste tools. I can't use it if I'm in a sketch. I can only use I select it and use the Move Copy tool under the Modify menu. So in this case, I do want to use it because I want to bring this sketch into my cardboard sketch. Before I do that, because I forgot something, because I just told you a second ago we should be naming things, I want to make sure I name my sketch that I made the cardboard in. So I'm going to call this the nested pieces or things like that. So I can always go back to that sketch really quickly and find it. So I'm going to call that nested. You see down in the bottom corner here, I renamed that sketch file. Okay, so now I have this. I want to select the whole thing here. My nested thing is in the way, so I'm just going to hide it. It's always the easiest to hide stuff to get it out of the way so you can select everything else. That's the tough part about SketchUp that's not as tough in here, is that I can hide all my other sketches and they won't be in the way. So now I'm going to use my window select, go all the way around. Some of you guys are having trouble selecting because maybe you did more than one thing in the same sketch. So go up to your select menu, go to freeform select. This allows you to get nice and close here and work your way around, get in between different objects, just so you can select the one thing, right? I'm going to go back because I like my window select as my default. Window select. I know everything's selected correctly because I see the blue on the lines on the outside. If I select just a piece like that, it just is the surface and that's not going to copy well, okay? So I want to do this again, sorry, window select the whole thing, Command-C to copy it. Now I'm going to go into my nested sketch, double click to go in, or right click and say edit sketch. Now I'm in the sketch. I'm going to get a better view here, and I'm going to do Command-V. It's going to paste it. I'm going to grab it, place it here somewhere that I want. The great part about this is before I drop it here, I can rotate it as much as I want, move it into place. It's going a little slow right now, but that's okay. And then when I'm happy with its location, I can say okay, and I got it. Nice. Now I'm going to hide my layer that I already did, go get another layer. I got to finish the sketch again, go get another layer. Like maybe I'll do the collar. I have it. Highlight the whole thing, copy. I'm going to go ahead and hide it again just because I'm going to do it later anyways. Go into the nested sketch, paste it, grab it, move it, and put it into place. Try to use create as little cardboard as possible. So I probably would try to use this space better by rotating this guy, but that's okay. Say okay. And I'm just going to keep doing that for all my pieces. Finish my sketch. And it's hidden, so I'm going to unhide it just so we can see what it is. So this is the sketch that you're going to export to me. It's very basic. We're not going to use the file export up here. This is a much more robust export. It does it in 3 dimensions and gives all the extra details. We don't need that. We just need the plain basic sketch. And so you're going to go to your sketch menu with all your sketches. You're going to find your nested. You're going to right click and go to Save as DXF. This is also a lot faster. When it tries to create the export from the top menu, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to actually render the whole thing because it's a much bigger file. So now I do the same thing where I say, oh, this is my 3D puzzle, Grogu, and my name. You're not going to write my name, you're going to write your name. And so that I know whose is what and what it is. And then I can save it, and then I go find it, and that's the file that I put on Canvas. All right. So the last thing for this is make sure, and I know that the SketchUp people might not be listening anymore, but make sure that you let me know if there's any details that you want that I need to know about. So for example, if any of these lines don't represent cut lines and you want them to represent just design lines, and I need to cut them, or you have the laser cutter use lower power or a faster cut so it doesn't cut all the way through the cardboard, let me know so that I don't accidentally cut through some of them. So some of you guys drew on your surfaces to represent textures or things like that. Just let me know. Okay, so that should be it. Let me know if you have any other questions, and feel free to work your way back through this again and again to kind of get it right.